Right, so of all of the bits that I did so far, I haven't streamed any of them. I recorded all of them. This one, for some reason, accidentally, I streamed it. I streamed it to a chat with no one except a couple of people who were asking, where's the sound? Now, I apologize to those people. I wasn't even looking at my stream because I had no idea I was streaming. But anyway, and this is especially because this is the part that I didn't think was going to come out right, the animation. I was really going, man, is this going to be something that I will enjoy? And it was a huge mess. Eventually I did get it right. So what I'm doing is I'm waving the banners, and I'm going to try and do that. I wave the banners, wave the trees, and have some sort of waving on the leaves as well. Added to that, I'll try to animate a little bit of the horses and the water, of course, because the water is the only naturally moving element in the scene, even if there was no wind, because of the waterfall, of course. So the trees I'm going to animate by moving the clamps just a little bit. So what I'm looking for is whether or not the wavy pattern looks right and the trees look, let's say, good enough that they work. Now, I don't think that they do. And I released this animation with the sense that the trees look very stiff and they're really not that good. But I prefer that to not having anything else. Now, here's where the messy bit starts. So what I do is I animate that banner, and then I copy that whole group of layers. This is not usually how I animate. I usually animate everything in one layer, and I just shift a layer from one position to the other. But in this case, I was doing that just to save my files, just make sure I don't ruin anything. So here I have a lot of trouble because I'm trying to clean up stuff, and then I ended up deleting stuff that I don't want, but then I'm not understanding why everything is moving. And then I realized that I'm just not doing things in the first layer. And Photoshop has that thing, if whatever changes you do on the first layer are replicated by default to the other layers. You can turn that off, but by default that's actually, I find it quite useful, except I wasn't really paying attention, so you see me constantly in the fourth and third layer wondering what's happening, and then sort of like a light bulb just goes in my head, and you go like, oh, okay, I know what I did. And I'm still not getting it. I think by now I do. So I fix everything. And what I'm doing is I'm just reusing the same animation that I did for that first banner on the left tower. And what I'm doing is I'm shifting the time. I'm saying, right, you're going to happen exactly the same. You're going to wave exactly the same, but you're going to wave like 2 frames or 1 frame later. Each of these frames are 0.2 seconds. So is it 200 milliseconds? Yeah, I think so. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that they wave next and that they wave correct as well. And once I have that one, I can kind of move it to the other ones as well. I have to do a little bit of cleanup, but not only that, I also have to have the shadow cast on the wall, and I'm adding that right now. And this is, again, great because it adds more interaction between the elements, and it sells the idea of that surface being a completely different surface from the one of the banner. So the shadow casting creates that interaction, makes it a little bit more interesting, I think. This one I just copy to the side. Now I'm making sure that I use the first frame, and there's also little bits of information. Also, the banners every banner exists on the bottom layer as well, so I have to make sure that I clean those as well. I didn't animate the banner on the left because not only did I think it was too much, but I thought it would be protected from the wind, being that it wasn't getting any wind from the side. Now, the idea of animating the ivy here, it just scares me moving all these plants. So instead what I did was just played with the shading to make sure that they were just sort of shifting slightly, and you can see the light kind of play in them, and the lights on the surface just slightly move. Not only that, it's not like a big element in the scene. I just think it helps animate stuff, but it doesn't really need to be like a really strong one. Now I'm animating the trees. I'm doing the same technique for everyone. Every frame, it just moves stuff into place, and I'm trying to keep it within this sort of invisible wave of wind that is going across the screen from left to right. So all the trees on the left start before the trees on the right. After that, I also create a little bit more detail by just adding more frames on the character's layer and animating this horse's tail. I'm having a bit of a smear ear, but it's a little weird because it's the only one that gets motion blur. But I still feel like it works. And I'm doing the same. Also, I'm going to do the same on the ears on this horse in the exact same frames, because they're so far apart in the image that there's hardly any issue for me to do that. For the water, I do this really cheaty trick, which is I get a shape. I paint all of these watery shapes, and I just make those clip to the layer underneath, and I just shift them. And it kind of works, because this is the not this is a little too fast, but this is the end result at real time. And the water kind of works. I mean, it's good enough, I feel, for me to be able to say that the animation is cool. I kind of feel that the scene has now become a little bit colder because of the wind. I guess that it does transmit that sort of sensation of a wind. And overall, I'm super, super, super happy with how this came out. And thank you so much for watching these videos if you made it this far. And yeah, just follow me on the social media links that I've left on the description. Take care.